how can we make a decision when we don't know how much we're supposed to be? Yes, if the referendum doesn't pass, we have to cut 750. But if it does pass, I heard him say just as clearly as you did, that we only had to cut 250, which would be the upper
The 4
grade.
teachers, and we would need our 250,
Right.
and then we
And that would give us the year to come up with a plan.
So I don't think we're.
I'm sorry, let's just do
We're not arguing.
Do we want to just do scenario number 4, or do we want to do scenario number 5? So I'll have to do, who wants to do scenario 4 and number 5 tonight? Raise your hand.
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Just go over the numbers. So that's 4. So we'll go through the 2 scenarios because we're all here. This is like one of the biggest crowds that we had, and this would be great for the community to see the impact on what our decision is.
Which our decision could change because there's going to be 2 other board members on this board.
Correct.
When option 5 comes
That
to
is
play.
correct.
So
The
why
new
are we
board-
wasting everybody's time here? But continue.
So on option number 4, we have $108,000 that we could add back to the budget to get to the 750. So let's open it up discussion and basically, can I scroll up here? So basically, we'll start off with kindergarten. If we leave kindergarten as half day, we get to save $30,000, or do we want to add it back in to reduce, to get us closer to the 750?
In my opinion, to me, that's a very important program that, you know, that is a very crucial part of a child's education and learning. And to me, having a full-day kindergarten program only reinforces the education for that student. And by the time they're in 2nd or 3rd grade, they're already reading. And so, in my opinion, kindergarten is a no-brainer.
Mike, your thought?
I've always preached about kindergarten, that it's one of the key programs when the kids started. And if they're not reading by the end of 2nd grade going into 3rd grade, the children are lost.
All right,
So
thank you. Cindy?
I agree kindergarten is very important, but I mean, it's not an easy choice to be, you know, what's one thing more important than another for somebody.
But we're the board and we have to make a
I
decision.
know.
I'm sorry, so you're okay with kindergarten?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
It's very important to get the kids started early.
I agree. So what I'll do is I will take that out. And I would even do it here just to move it along. The next topic here is, so now we have $228,000 left, or I'm sorry, $829, and I'm gonna put in a quick field here just to make my life easier. Of course, this up right. So it's all right, there's $78,000 left. Where do we want to apply that towards?
So that's the remaining.
I am
That's
asking,
their-
I would like to ask Dr. O'Malley and the principals where they feel it would best be served, because they are the educators that,
I would agree.
not
Dr.
throwing you guys under the bus, but
Dr. Dan and Michelle will start off with you guys.
We can't hear anybody.
So we have 78,000 left to spend.
What's been taken out already? We can't hear anything.
We
actually
added 30,000 back to make the full day kindergarten. Okay, so far. And now we have 78,000 left.
So what's still being eliminated in scenario number 4 is music, art, industrial arts, sports and clubs, summer curriculum work, learning center aides, technology for deferment for 1 year, office assistants, reading specialists, and field trips.
What's 178,000? So what's under 78,000 that's left over?
There you go.
Sorry.
Just going basic. You highlight those in green.
Or do we stick true to our deficit reduction plan and not?
Or the 78,000 just go into the kitty just in case for emergency.
Because we know we're gonna have building issues because we didn't pass the building bond, so we know we're gonna have building issues that maybe we should be thinking of saving some money for if
Right.
the chillers go out, the phones, we know that we have issues with that.
So we're discussing potentially leaving the 78,000 in the bank because we have problems with the buildings that come up, so that's what we're discussing.
Okay, so right now we have leaving 78,000 as a reserve. So in this scenario number 4, the programs that will be cut would be, efficiencies that will be found will be art, music, all sports, committee work, summer work, curriculum work, learning center, instructional technology. All right.
So, my question is, under scenario 4,
Right.
we added back the kindergarten, we had $78,000 left.
Right.
So therefore, we're eliminating art, or making efficiencies of art, music, sports, and so on, and taking the 78 to put in our reserve to use in case of building issues. How is that benefiting the students? To me, I can't justify taking something away from those kids. Why I took this position was to sit here and make sure that things were not taken away from the kids. I am an advocate for the children in this district, and I can't dutifully support losing art, music, when those two items, very emotional to be up here, I don't know, it's just very hard to make that type of a decision, and that's why I think we've limited ourselves by not looking at that scenario 5, where that grade center option does give us, I understand, but that grade center option gives a child that all well-rounded education.
Right, but if you throw that child into a building that is not prepared, and there's no fidelity, and there's no time to prepare, when you have architects that are telling you it takes a year. You had Dr. O'Malley saying that he would need more time. We have one superintendent, 2 principals to try and do all that. So to ask
I
them
in
to do
good
that
conscience
and give
can't
it
sit
all
up here
up.
and say that I can cut art
Well,
and
do you think
music.
any of us are happy?
I know,
None
but-
of us are happy about this.
Just look at anybody who's looking to move into the community. Who would want to move into a community where we don't
nobody's
have art
happy,
and
but when
music?
we-
It's just,
You guys,
we
so I
have to
think
do
we're
as
looking-
much possible to save as
Right,
much
right.
as
So
possible.
let's do this now.
We're
Let's
in
let's
number
move.
4 right now. I
So
know.
let's just move over to number 5. So we just look at number 5.
Well, we gotta finish 4 first.
Okay.
And then we'll go to 5.
Before we put 78,000 towards the building to
It's not towards the
Well,
building,
it's
it's
towards
a
the
reserve,
reserve,
and
right.
We're
it's
not
keeping
done
a
yet.
reserve because we're told we're not fiscally responsible.
correct.
So now, are we going to try being more fiscally responsible, save money, have some in reserve, so that if God forbid something did happen, we have some money? Because otherwise, putting kindergarten back in there, if the chillers or something big goes out, guess what? There's no kindergarten because we're gonna be pulling that money out.
Let's talk about.
My other question is, though, the fact that we still cannot agree on the fact that if the referendum passes, it would just be the 2, I feel like I'm screaming, but I'm trying to talk loud so everybody can hear. But for the 2, that if the referendum passes and it's just the 250, so for the increasing of the classroom sizes, then by us adding kindergarten back in, that's gonna mess that up. So, because we're increasing it by the 30,000, where that's gonna mess it up.
You know, what I understood from Dr. Schilling when he talked about that 250, the way I understood it is that if we have a $1.2 million increase that what we're asking for, we have a $1.6 million deficit. He's saying that if you only cut roughly about $250,000, you will have a balanced budget. But you're back into square one after 2 years because you're spending down more than you have.
Well, we know
I'm
that.
just saying what my understanding. I'm speaking loud, I'm not yelling. I just want to make sure that they hear me. So that's what Dr. Schilling was trying to say, is that we have the power to do nothing. That's the other part that he's telling us. But what he's saying is that if we, based on his original, or the slide that we were going through before, is that we have to find efficiencies of $750,000 so we could maintain the budget for the next 5 to 7 or 8 years. So we don't have to do this again in 3 years. And so that's the whole idea. The more we find inefficiencies today, the easier it will be for this board and our community going forward. And so that's where the part that we need to make sure that we understand is that, and I agree with you, Cindy, is that no one wants to cut anything or find efficiencies, but we are limited. We heard, 90% of the people that said, let's try to save everything, except for Gus. He said, let's just try to, a little bit different, right?
You guys put me in that position,
I
just so
understand.
you know.
But we have to go through these numbers, and I think that we need to kind of show it, and so that's where the difficulty comes in. We have $78,000, and I would agree with Pasquale. I think music and art is one of the most important programs that every child has. And so what I would suggest is that we take that $78,000 and we try to apply it as much as we can towards the art and music, if possible, and let the scheduling committee try to figure it out, because we don't have the schedule. Let's empower them to do that in a sense. But let's take that $78,000 and let's apply it towards art and music as much as we can. It might only be a part-time and a part-time, but at least let's get something so we don't cut the program completely, because once it's cut completely, it's going to be very difficult to bring back. And so that's why it's important for us to try to maintain it as much as we can.
So let's ask Paul. Paul, is that something?
Well, I think it's, I'm not gonna make a decision in a vacuum. I mean, I think I should be at least empowered to take with my principals and our teachers and create a schedule and decide where that 78 would be used best.
That's what I think.
And I'm okay with that. But I'll
Glad I answered
at a later date.
Yeah.
I would throw a caveat in there. I would really like it to be a program not for office staff right now, if that's possible. I would like to make sure that we use most of that towards art and music.
Okay. So.
Is that fair? A fair statement?
Right, and just to be clear with the audience, this is something you need to know. We haven't taken a position that we don't value art, we don't value music, we don't value band. The state has put us in a predicament with certain classes are weighted more heavily than others. We don't have a choice. So art and music are on there because the state law precludes us from cutting math, social studies, ELA. I would much rather have it that the state have all of those be required and we don't have a choice. But we're in a predicament. That's why it's on there. It's not to say that we don't value those courses. And I want to be very clear because we have no choice. They'll say we have a choice, but the truth be told is we do not have as much of a choice as we would like with respect to the autonomy that the district needs. But getting back on track, I would appreciate it if we would be able to have that opportunity together with our teachers and our administrators.
Great, thank you. Moving to scenario number 5. We already all agreed that kindergarten will be maintained.
Say it louder.
We already agreed that kindergarten will be maintained, so I took it off the list. Music and art is already off the list in the Great Center scenario. Industrial art stays. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And so the next thing on here is clubs. So we have $168,000 that we have to work with that we can add back in there. So we already have music and art in there. Do we want to consider adding back sports and other clubs for $129,000?
Is it possible do we know the difference between the club cost and the sports cost?
Yeah, it's about $90,000 for sports, and then the rest is for clubs. So we have $168,000 that we could invest back. Do we want to consider sports and clubs in that list? We'll start off with